Hello and welcome to another episode of God-Sized Stories. Today my guest is Cara Bruinius. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Cara.
Let's see, I have a husband, Joshua, and 4 children, Noah, Danny, Luke, and Bella. I homeschool them. I also have a part-time job at Heart Rhythm Management. So I don't know what you call me, I guess an administrative assistant or whatever. And an electrophysiologist is someone who studies the rhythm of the heart. So he puts in pacemakers and defibrillators, and because, of course, when the heart gets out of rhythm, there's got to be a way to pace it back into rhythm. So that's what he does. So I know more about the heart than I ever thought there was to know about the heart, which is kind of it's super interesting, but it's not something that I ever thought I would delve into.
And so it's always good to have those, jobs that you never thought you'd have. I've had those in life that I was like, I never thought I'd end up here.
Right, or people when they mention, I have to go have a stress test tomorrow. I have to go have an echo, and my ears perk up, and I say, so why? And they'll say, oh, well, and actually I do know, and
right.
So it leads to interesting conversations. And yeah, the heart is one of those magnificent organs that I really never paid attention to. When I was younger, I actually thought a heart was in the shape of a heart.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
And the first time, no. I was like, what?
It's quite disgusting.
It is quite disgusting. Yeah, it's quite disgusting. Yeah, so let's see. I have a dog, Starburst, and we live in Lindenhurst.
Real quick, how did you land on the name of Starburst?
Okay, so when my kids were little, they wanted to name the dog. What's the dog, the movie about the dog that it's an animated movie where the dog has superpowers. He thinks he has superpowers.
Oh, Bolt. Yeah.
Okay, so they couldn't say Bolt, but they really wanted to name it Bolt. But it was coming off as like, well, I don't know, but it was horrible. So I was like, what if we named it after your favorite candy?
And they were all like,
so, yeah. So Starburst is a golden doodle.
Awesome. Well, I've known you for probably 4, maybe a little bit more of that years now. We went to the same church for a while. I've gotten to really interact with you over time in many unique ways. Yeah. But one of the, I respect a lot about you is you lead women's studies quite often, but it's not just, you sit in a room and turn a video on and then lead discussion. Those are important roles. Absolutely. And a lot of people do that, but you don't just do that. You take it to the next level. You dig down deep. You probably spend at least 3-4 times probably outside of the time learning the material before going in to discuss the material. And that's really been awesome from my perspective to see, because that's a discipline that, I think a lot of people should strive for, because you can learn a lot. You can gain a lot from that. And I'm sure that also inspires other things in your life. Mm-hmm. So I'm just wondering, what are some other inspirations, other hopes and dreams that you have in your life?
I started studying the Bible like that when I was a whole lot younger. I think that was pivotal, and I've known it was pivotal for quite a long time, because I have dealt with the idol of fear and the idol of people pleasing for quite a long time in my life. And I see what my life is like when the first thing in my life isn't in the morning spending deep time in the Word and in prayer. There's something I say a whole lot, which is Bible study, worship, and prayer. And that those are the disciplines that I realized something very early on when I became a mom, that if those disciplines were not the first disciplines, who I was as a mom and as a child of God and as a wife, everything falls apart. And I'm really quite a sinner on my own anyway.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all? But I think even more so when those disciplines fall apart in my life. So, I kind of think about when I'm walking on the trails in McDonald's Woods. Do you ever go to?
I've been a couple times. we've been living near that for a year and a half now, and we really need to start branching out more.
There's a part of that woods that is my favorite, and it's because it's off the beaten trail. And most people don't follow this one part of the woods too frequently.
Okay.
And it's my dog and I's favorite.
I was going to say, you just posted a picture the other day. Okay, I read that. I was like, all right, this is an adorable dog just looking back, like all excited.
Come on, love, let's get going. I want to go. But it's this path, and when it gets really icy and everybody goes where the path is. And I took my daughter there today, and she was wanting to follow where the path was. And I was like, we have to be a little bit on the outside, because that's where the snow is a little bit looser and it's easier to get your footing. I was thinking about that this morning, and I was thinking about that in my walk with Christ. It's really super easy for me to follow what everybody else is doing and just read what everybody else is reading, pray the same prayers everybody else is. But for my walk to be what it needs to be, I need it to be that I'm spending good, deep, quality time with the Lord that is opening the Word, discovering it for myself, not having somebody else tell me what to think about His Word, but me reading it myself, me delving in myself, me praying my own prayers, not somebody else's prayers that are written, and me listening to worship music. It's important that I go corporately, by the way, but that I'm doing this, that I'm not just walking in the path that everyone else has walked.
Yeah. As you were saying, be very slippery slope.
It can be. Because what if those people fall?
You will probably fall too.
That's exactly right.
Their footsteps are not solid footsteps.
That's right. Because they're people. We're all people. We all fall. We all have sin. We all have, and we're never meant to trust just in people. They fall. We're meant to put all of our hope in Him.
Yes.
Not in people.
I can definitely have a hard time, and then also expressing that to people. Like, people will be like, "Oh, you really got to read this guy, and you really got to read this lady, and you really got to read this thing." And I'm always like, about a little over a year ago, I was in a year and a half ago, I was in a really dry spell. I wasn't reading hardly anything at that point. And I kind of got smacked I got very smacked in the face with my own sin and falling down because I was just walking the paths of just doing life at that point.
Yes.
And I came back and really picked up a lot, especially those disciplines you were saying. I was never the person that was like, I'm going to read first thing in the morning. I always use the excuses like, oh, my brain, it just doesn't like it. It's like, I'll read at the end of the day.
That's right.
And to be honest, my brain was probably worse at the end of the day, so it didn't matter. And I really adopted that, where I literally every single day started reading, even if I only read for 2-3 minutes, as long as I was doing a little bit, pushing myself a little bit more. And then I picked up a beautiful habit that I've never had. I've always severely struggled with, is journaling.
Yeah.
I would journal about, if there was something in the scripture that I read, I would journal about that. If it inspired me, or if I had questions about it, I'd write questions down. Like the other day, I was reading a verse and it was really confusing and I was lost. And then the verse, an angel asked this guy, he's like, do you understand what that vision was?
Absolutely.
And he just straight up says, I have no idea.
That's exactly right.
And so that's what I journaled about the other day. I was like, I have no idea what this whole chapter was about, just like the author.
That's right.
And it was so comforting to write that and to say that and to just put all of my thoughts just down somewhere instead of keeping them all jumbled up in my head.
Well, and to build off what you're saying there, I think what's powerful about and everyone has their own opinions about this, but what's powerful about writing in your Bible, to me, is I just put a Bible on the shelf that I've been writing in for almost 20 years. Oh, I was like, I literally cannot deal with the fact that I put a Bible on the shelf because it's been my friend for so long.
Sure.
But here's the thing that I realized. A lot of the thoughts that I've written down in the Bible, I don't think anymore.
Yeah, over that span of time, you grow a lot.
I've grown past those thoughts, and I don't think those thoughts anymore. And I think more deeply. It's kind of 1 Corinthians 13. When I was a child, I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. But, now I've grown past that, and I think more deeply. And, we see dimly, but soon we will see, and those thoughts, that's what you're talking about, Craig. There's going to come a time when you look back on that writing and you're going to say, you know what, I understand it now. Yeah, I understand it now. And people ask me, how do I learn like you do? How do I do that? It doesn't come by just going to a Bible study and doing a Bible study for 16 weeks. It comes by being in the Bible every day of your life. And it comes with regular attention to that. And I'll tell you, it is not easy and it's hard. And I struggle with migraines. So some days that means I'm listening to the word, but it means I still do it because it's saying to my brain, and it's saying to my body, and it's saying to my soul that the most important thing in my life is Jesus.
So important to put that keystone first.
That's exactly right.
So, Cara, what's next in your life? What's the next big thing on the horizon for you?
Lord willing, I would love to come home and write. I have had this dream since I was a little kid. I actually, if you'll believe it, do you remember that dot paper, the paper with the little...
Oh, yes. I had one of those printers, and
I have stacks of paper with my stories on it. I have journals upon journals of my stories. I won't share them with anybody, but I do have them.
It's good to keep those mementos.
Yes, it is. So I have my stories. I don't know that the Lord is calling me to fiction writing. But I do have the stories that I've written. I would definitely say that my heart is much more towards proclaiming his word as his word. God bless those who have been called to fiction. I don't know that I have a story like that inside me, but I have a blog that I have written in, and if you'll believe it, I've been writing on that since 2008.
Wow.
I know, right?
That's awesome.
I've been updating things, and I realized that I kept going back, and I was, how long 2008. All right, then, that's a long time. So I haven't always been diligent about it.
Sure.
But my husband posed the question to me, as you have, you're so restless. What's the next thing for you? And I just want to write. Then why aren't you writing? You need to be writing every day. Cara, write. Just write. If you want to develop this discipline, then write. And I didn't have an answer other than, I suppose that's what I should be doing. So one of the movies I saw that was inspirational for that is a movie that I've always loved, is Little Women. Jo has always been a hero to me, always. She's just this very boyish but very strong character. And how they interpreted this character in this movie was how the writing process and how hard the writing process was for her. And then how the writing process came about for her. And I loved that. I loved the noticing of how her hands were messy with writing. I loved how her hands were, because that's the process of being a writer. And I don't know that if you're not a writer, it doesn't make, I don't mean it.
No, this is definitely me. I'm not, as I said, I do my journal, but that's as far as it goes.
But to me, that just spoke to me in such volumes. And then on top of that conversation with Joshua about writing. And so I've been asking the Lord just to give me wisdom and to help me develop this blog and to figure out what are my next steps, because there's a lot out there right now develop your blog
Yeah.
in 5 easy steps and do this
Yeah.
and 5 easy. And I, it's just, oh Lord, where's the wisdom and what do I do next? Because I don't know what that is. And I want to do it well. Yeah, it's truly, I don't know the next steps other than I know what the next thing is, which is I keep writing and I keep being the woman God has called me to be, which is to be a writer, to, of course, be the mom he's called me to be, and of course, be the wife he's called me to be. And I ask God every day to show me if there's a place that he could put me so I could continue to enhance those skills.
Well, Cara, thank you so much for sharing all that. Please, I'd love it if you would share your blog with the listeners so that they at home can look it up, give it a read, hopefully inspire them to write maybe, or whatever God has for them. So where would they go to find your blog?
It's just sixbrownbears.com.
Wonderful, simple enough.
Yeah.
Cara, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Listeners, thank you so much for joining us. The Lord has taught me so much through this whole process, and I'm so happy to be able to share it with you and share this journey with you. Thank you very much. Goodbye.